Hey folks, this is Jason Lewis, the producer of the From the Shadows podcast. I just want to remind you about our website, fromtheshadowspodcast.com. We have a Facebook page. We would appreciate it if you like and follow. Also, join our discussion group on Facebook called After the Shadows. We have a Twitter feed. Please follow us on Twitter. It can be found with @podcast_from. Follow us on Instagram at From the Shadows Podcast. We have a YouTube channel. Go to the search bar at YouTube and put From the Shadows Podcast, and please subscribe to that channel. We are also on the Odyssey Radio Network, and we can be found there at odyssey1.com. We're still on the traditional podcatchers that everybody loves to listen to us on. We get a lot of feedback, so please rate the podcast and communicate with whether you're on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or Google Podcasts. We're there, and we appreciate it when you leave comments for us. We also have a Patreon page. It can be found at www.patreon.com/From the Shadows. You can receive books, stickers, coffee mugs, and special content just for our Patreon subscribers. Check it out for yourself and see what packages that we have to offer. Well, that's all I have for you right now, folks, and thanks for being a part of the From the Shadows podcast family. So with that being said, let's get this episode started.
Hey, everyone. Before we get into this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast, I want to thank everybody who gets on all of our social media and interacts with us, sends us questions. Jason and I really enjoy, all the fans, so we know people are listening. And I really like the comments that people leave on all the podcatchers, on Apple, on
Spotify,
YouTube, Spotify. But what I really enjoy is we have this, and I guess we could call him a fan, on Podbean. And this gentleman named Scooter seems to really enjoy our Friday podcasts. But man, does he not like the midweek howl. And he goes on and on. In fact, the last midweek howl, this is a quote, and I'm quoting Scooter. Midweek howl, Z's, bunch of Z's. So that's supposed to signify he's sleeping. I just fast forward through it every time, and he capitalized every. So Holler, since you're with me and Jason right now, man, how does that make you feel that somebody just doesn't appreciate the time it takes for us to put together the midweek howl and for you to tell a story?
I have mixed emotions because when you told me about it, I said, first of all, I think I must know the guy, right?
Well,
I started my dad and my man.
That's what I think.
I arrested Scooter. I told the Scooter story one day, and maybe I'm going to tell an unedited, X-rated version for Patreon one day. I arrested a Scooter, and I worked with a Cooter, so it could be either one. I normally don't. I don't share my podcast. I don't tell people I know about the podcast because, first of all, my fifth grade teacher will be the first one to tell you that I'm not funny. She told me that for a whole year, right?
Was Scooter your fifth grade teacher?
No, she could have been. Or maybe, hey, he could have been in there with me and kept hearing her say that. You know what I mean? Some of these kids just parrot what the teacher tells them. So,
well, you have to tell us about this Cooter one of these days, too.
Well, Cooter was a cop, and I don't want to rail on too bad because he lost a leg through diabetes and some bad choices. But oh yeah, I got 50. I beat him up when we were in second grade at the Pinewood Derby, and we didn't realize we were going to grow up and be cops together. So that's a whole. I can tell you 15 stories on that. But back to why this guy don't think I'm funny. He's got to look at himself. You know what I mean? And there's some folks that just can't have a good time, right? God bless him. I'm praying for him. You know what I mean? But
well, Scooter, if you're listening, come on, man, give the Howler another chance. But most of all, if you don't have something nice to say, that's fine. Just keep it to yourself. Okay.
Well, no, hold on a second. This is where I This is what I think. First of all, he needs to sit down and listen to them all to make sure he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, true.
And then send them to everybody he knows and ask their opinion.
Yeah.
That way he can gather the facts and make an informed decision. So
even better.
Absolutely.
So Scooter, do us a favor, man. Listen to all 50 or so episodes of the Midweek Howl. Send them to all your friends. Send us back the statistics. And then maybe we can make a more informed decision. But we are glad that you love our Friday episodes because you're going to like this one with Mary Fabian of the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project.
Hey, welcome everybody to the From the Shadows podcast. I'm your host, Shane Grove. And with me, as always, is the judge. Judge, what's happening?
Hey, I'm just happy to be here. In the era of COVID, I'm just glad that we can sit at the same table and do these podcasts, and we're not remotely doing this. So
yeah, it's a lot better to be in the same room.
Good times.
And Jason, the super producer, what's happening?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. How about yourself there, Mr. Host? And greetings, everyone.
Mr. Host.
Jeez.
Oh, geez. Well, hey, joining us today is a super interesting lady, Mary Fabian from the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. Mary, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And before we went on air, we already discussed that, you know, her last name may be Fabian, but she is not related to the famous
musical artist,
movie star that which was it, Laverne or Shirley had the huge crush on.
Because his first name is Fabian.
His first name is Fabian. Yeah. So anybody out there that is as old as us and was wondering,
showing our true age. So hey, we're excited to have Mary on, and obviously Sasquatch, Bigfoot is universal topic right now, you know, and so we're excited to get other people's perspectives in different parts of the country. We've had people on from Oklahoma. We've had people dealing with the Washington Project. We've had people, you know, that's on TV with it. So excited. The one thing I know about Pennsylvania country is there's a lot of black bears.
Oh, yes.
A lot of black bears. I'm scared of bears. So I remember it's like 2 years ago, and I don't know why I did this, but I looked up how many bears were killed the first day of bear season. It's like 600 and some bears were killed. And I'm thinking,
shouldn't that be all of them?
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, how many bears do they have? I mean, seriously, if you kill 600 and some the first day of bear season, how many damn bears do you guys have?
Thousands of them.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Oh,
and
they kill people too.
I think that they have record size ones here also. I think one was killed just a few years ago. I think he was around 1,000 pounds, something like that. So
he must be eating a lot of people.
Big one, yeah.
Is it like when like Brody with the shark? You know, they cut the stomach open and see what was inside of it.
Oh, brother!
Found some guy's flannel shirt in a backpack.
That should tell you something about the habitat here in Pennsylvania. If it can support a lot of bears, a lot of black bear and big ones also. But usually they run, you know, in the 250 range. You know, they don't all get that big.
Well, I think, you know, jumping into the whole Bigfoot subject matter is, you know, and we talk to a lot of people, and I talk to people off air, obviously, and the people that are skeptics that say, oh, you know, I don't really believe in Bigfoot. I said, well, why not? It says, well, you know, what would they eat? You know, you take 1,000-pound predator. How many calories a day does 1,000-pound, you know, predator have to eat in a day to sustain its weight, to sustain its viability? And the answer to that is, I don't know. But what you're telling us is, hey, look, we got 1,000-pound black bear.
Yeah.
We got 1,000-pound black bear. So, so let's jump right in. What is the habit? Look, I've been to Pennsylvania. Grover, you've been to Pennsylvania. Jason, you've been to Pennsylvania.
Many a times,
But you know, we have people from all over the world that listen to our podcast. And so tell those people, what's the habitat like in Pennsylvania?
Well, we are, let me see, I was speaking with a forest ranger about a month or so ago, and he said that 71% of Pennsylvania is forested.
Wow.
And, you know, which surprised me. I thought it was more in the 60% range, but.
Oh,
but
you were way off there, weren't you? You have a lot
yes.
of egg on your face. No, but you think about it. You're right, and I've been through Pennsylvania, and you get on the highway and you drive all the way through. Yeah. You would not guess that 71% of the square miles of the state is forest, and Pennsylvania is a big state.
Oh yeah,
it is a big state. To drive from east to west or west to east, how many hours does it take to go from?
It's a long time.
Okay, from end to end, that's about 6-hour drive if you go turnpike from one end of the turnpike to the other end.
Yeah, and that's turnpike where you can drive really fast.
Yes.
You can't drive that fast because I did get a speeding ticket coming back from Cape Cod one time at about 98.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
So wasn't it
the magic number's
in
90.
a minivan? In a minivan too, by the way. So Mary, how did you get into the subject of Bigfoot to the point where you have this fairly good-sized Facebook group and in your own investigative group? Like, how did you get into this?
Well, whenever I get into something, I usually do jump into it with both feet. But no, whenever I was about 11 years old, I had a sighting. And but back then, that was before the Patterson-Gimlin film. So I had no idea what it was that I saw, other than it was a big guy wearing a fur coat in the middle of summer. But my dad would talk to me a little bit about the wild man. You know, that's what they were known here in Pennsylvania way back when. And then we'll fast forward quite a few years.
Can we stop you right there?
Sure.
So where did you see what at the time you perceived a big man wearing a fur coat in the middle of summer?
Yeah, that was, I lived on a farm in southern Allegheny County, and that's located in western Pennsylvania. And I was walking along, there was a gas line along the back end of the farm. And I was walking along the gas line, and I was heading downhill into a holler, and he crossed over from the woods, crossed over the gas line and stopped, just looked at me, and then he continued on, just straight across into the woods on the other side.
How tall did you think he was? I know from a perspective of an 11-year-old, but...
Yeah, going way back about 50 years now. That would have been, I'm only guesstimating maybe 7-8 feet tall.
But way bigger than any normal person that you
would
have
yes.
seen.
Yeah, and he was husky also. Yeah, I do recall that he was pretty barrel-chested, and he was very, very large, built like a wrestler.
Did you run and tell your parents that, hey, there's some strange guy out here in a fur coat?
No, it took me a few days, to talk to my dad about it.
So you weren't like standing there looking at this thing. You weren't terrified.
No.
You're just
no.
So you didn't even have the feeling that you were in danger at all.
No, not at all. At that time, it was more, puzzlement. Who is this, and why is he wearing a fur coat?
Gotcha. Which is interesting because you mentioned that the stories that you were told by your parents about the wild man, those match up with Tennessee. Tennessee and West Virginia also have and I'm going to say folklore, but folklore sometimes is kind of a mischaracterization. It tends to mean something's not true. I don't mean that, but there's similar stories about wild men living in the forest that date back, pre-statehood for a lot of these states. So as a kid, you're growing up. What did your parents say about the wild men? Did they say, "Hey, listen, if stay away from the wild man in the forest"? He's like
Did your dad have his own experience?
I honestly don't think so, but it's possible. He didn't share anything with me other than just telling me a little bit about, there's wild men in the forest, and that's all he said. There was nothing about hairy, that they were hairy or large or anything, just that there were wild men.
So it wasn't like he was saying, "Hey, listen," like we would tell kids today, don't go there, the boogeyman will get you. It wasn't told to you as a means to scare you, to keep you from doing something. It was
Correct.
more of something historical passed down to you, like, hey, these things, they're out there.
Watch out for the bear, and then the big
Right.
giant other person.
Correct.
Yeah.
The giant.
Yeah.
So okay, so fast forward. Then you were
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Well, fast forward about 40 years later, thereabouts. I had previously been married, divorced, and remarried, and moved with my present husband north of Pittsburgh. And previously, I lived south of Pittsburgh, and moved up here into Beaver County, and moved into our home. And night times, every so often, I would hear a banging up against the bedroom wall, and something would bang. And then one night, something woke me up. I could hear this garbled, grumbly sound. Somebody was talking, but it was a grumbly voice, very deep. It went like that, which is what we now know is samurai chatter.
Yes. Yes,
Indeed.
So you didn't think it was a bear?
At that point in time, no. Honestly, at that point in time, I thought it was the ghost of the previous owner.
I could see where you go to that assumption.
Holy smokes!
And yeah, then I heard eventually, time would go on, I heard vocals, some whoops, and saw a head peeking up over the wall behind my house, and found footprints, and something would come by every 3 weeks and peek in the windows and try to
now, hold
scare
on a second.
me.
So
I mean, she's
something.
just so matter factly.
Yeah, it's like, and then he opened the door and he made himself a sandwich, and we had a conversation
Does
about
yard
scotch.
work, and this is like it's
So I mean, there's not a lot of sensational storytelling here. Not making fun of you, but it seems like to me, people like you're doing right now, you're telling this very matter of fact, and kind of what we have found is that people who have grown up with a Bigfoot culture do not sensationalize things because it's just part of their life. Now you grew up, if you had some guy that grew up in the city who had no experience with the outdoors, and you put him in a situation where something big is beating on a wall, he's on vacation at some cabin, and then something's peeking in, he's going to be animated and he's scared and he's telling a story. But it sounds like this is just the way of life.
Yeah, Mary sounds kind of bored with the whole
well,
thing.
yeah, like,
Not really. He made me angry, actually, because he would scare my dog, and he would really terrify her, and she was not afraid of anything.
what kind of dog was she?
She was a border collie, and she would always lay by the back door, always watching out. And now I realize exactly what she was watching for. But whenever he would come around, she would start growling and whining very, very softly, and then crawl backwards on her belly up until she was, huddled up against my legs, and she was just shaking and so frightened. And that would really make me angry, because I do
And that's
not
from
like
inside the house.
Yeah.
You guys are inside the house, and that's how.
So what did so we're getting your perspective. What was your husband's perspective?
He's a deep sleeper. He would sleep through all this.
I mean, the next day he said, "Hey, listen, that Bigfoot or whatever this thing's back." What was his reaction? Did he believe you, or did he just say, "Hey, listen, let me sleep"?
No, he would. At first, he kind of, he never made fun of me or anything like that. But he would try to give the other side of the coin. Okay, well, it could be this, or it could be that, or we had a motion sensor light outside, and I would always complain, that it was turned, and I would tell him, "Why do you keep turning the motion sensor light? It's not triggering." And he would tell me, "No, I never did." And
so this Bigfoot was turning the light.
Clever enough that it would turn the light so that you couldn't see it.
Well, no wonder the dog's scared, because if these things
Yeah.
can figure out to turn the light, they can figure out how to turn the door handle.
Yeah.
They can figure out how to.
Yeah. So when it looked in the window, I mean, did you get a good look at its face, or did you have curtains and it was just kind of peeking through like a sliver of the opening, or?
Yeah, I had curtains up, but I could tell by her reaction where he was. And one night, well, no, it was more than one night. I would storm out the door and I would holler at him, and he'd go running off.
You are pure country girl.
No kidding. Well, when she said holler, I kind of gave it away.
I mean, did you like cook some hot grease and try to throw it out like my grandma?
Oh my goodness!
This is my grandma grew up pure hillbilly, Tennessee.
No way. It's like you're not calling Mary a hillbilly.
No, it's Tennessee.
Okay.
My grandma was a hillbilly, and so
Hey, my mom was.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom was a West Virginia hillbilly.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So we had these. So she lived up here in the north end of town, and they'd get these stray dogs that would come, and they were menaces. So she would always have some grease cooking on the stove. And if those dogs show up, she'd grab that grease and run out there and try to throw it on the dogs.
Not realizing that once the grease cooled down, the dogs came back and licked it off. Because
Well, I mean, it would scar you. It'd be terrible. But I mean, she never caught the dogs. I mean, she'd go running out there, spilling grease on her hands and down her legs, screaming. And I'm just sitting there thinking, "Gee, Merry Christmas," But from your perspective, I mean, did you ever think, or did your husband ever think, maybe I should just get a high-powered rifle, and the next time that sucker shows up here, I'm going to take a shot at him, because if I kill him and I got the body, I'm a millionaire, because now I'm the person with the body. Did that ever cross your mind?
No. I would have thought that would be entirely stupid. That it would only piss him off, for one thing. Sorry.
Now, did you not
like
have
a candygram for Mongo?
Candygram for Mongo? Yes. You're only going to make him mad.
Go shoot him, because you're only going to make him mad.
So did you not have any fear of this creature because of your experience when you were 11? You think? Or
I was respectful of his size and possible temperament, because you never know, which way something's going to turn. But then you don't bully and frighten any of my loved ones. You just don't, because I'm going to come after you.
So do you
With your
believe,
bare hands?
Yeah. Do you believe that this creature then was purposely antagonizing your dog?
Yeah, because I think that he was getting his kicks out of frightening her, because she was very visible with her reaction, and he could see that he frightened her. And I just thought that he got enjoyment out of it, just like any bully. And that's why he kept coming back.
So I guess my question is, if this had been a black bear, would you have running out there after it?
I would have reacted a little bit differently.
And why is that?
With black bears, the noise alone, hollering, probably would have scared it off, and you still would have run away.
It's true.
We have a resident bear expert over here.
No, it's just I had bear at my old place over there in Nevada.
Oh,
Yeah, they come down out of Sierra Nevadas, and you make a loud noise or something. As long as they don't feel threatened where they're cornered, they're gone, man.
Yeah.
So I guess from my perspective, having not grown up around bears and not grown up probably around Sasquatch, is that there's this attitude, I guess, that you had that Sasquatch, Bigfoot is not there to actually harm me or to do something to me. He's just pissing me off or aggravating my dog, or just basically
He's like the neighborhood kid.
Yeah, he's being like I was when I was a kid, a seasoned peeping Tom.
Yes. That's particular one.
But I think
yes.
that's an important perspective, because there's people out there, myself included, they would say, why on earth would you go into the woods? This is a good segue, I think. Why on earth would you go into the woods to try to find 1,000-pound apex predator? At what point does that sound like a good idea? If you told me, hey, look, there is a Siberian tiger that escaped, and we don't have
very
any
sharp teeth,
and we're not, there's no evidence that this Siberian tiger has ever hurt anyone. We don't have any reports where it's killed anyone, but it's out here in this field and in this cornfield or whatever. You want to go try to find it? The answer would be hell no. Why? Because it could kill me. So I guess
the answer is Mary is more of a man than you are. I'm just putting it out there.
I've been blessed with a strong sense of fear. So I guess from my perspective, and we've been invited to go out on some Bigfoot hunts, and I suffer from a serious case of trepidation. That look, I'm scared. I get out here. If things go south, this thing just ripped my arms off.
Well, you should be, because Jason and I are leaving you behind.
Dude, I'm the slowest one here. You guys outrun me. But you think about it. So Mary, let me put you on the spot.
Sure.
You know, just about everybody that probably is one of our listeners has heard about, you know, these chimpanzees that were kept as pets in the United States, and they escaped or they went berserk and they ripped people's faces off and just mutilate them and stuff like that. And a chimpanzee is a fraction of the size of a Sasquatch. It would be, if this thing wanted to just absolutely rip you apart, it would. So what possesses you to go out and search for Bigfoot?
Curiosity, and I just want to learn more about them. But the thing also about it was that individual that I knew he was a bully and that he would run. But I knew also I would never be able to corner him, for one thing. But I knew that anyone that was cornered would be dangerous, or anything. And it's the same with Bigfoot. You know, you go into their territory, they'll try to warn you off at first by throwing rocks or tree limbs at you or something like that. And whenever that happens, I'll say, okay, I respect you. I respect your territory. And I turn and I walk away. You know, I don't push them.
So you've had rocks and stuff thrown at you?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I'd love to hear it.
So once we get past the bully, then what's the next evolution in your experience with Bigfoot?
Oh, goodness, various places. I've gone all over. I've been down in Tennessee and Kentucky. Have you ever heard of Land Between the Lakes?
Oh yeah, that's where the
Beast of LBL.
Yes, the guys in the camper, the family in the camper, getting torn apart. Yeah,
I was at that site. I was standing at that site. And
so for our listeners, just give us real quick about that story.
Oh, you want me to tell them about it?
Sure.
yeah, go ahead.
You're the guest.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Now, I'm only going by what I was told by Kumbo, you know, Tim Kumbo Baker.
Mm-hmm.
They were holding a camp out in that area, and Kumbo knew where that camper site was, so he took a group of us there and told us the story. And apparently this happened in the late 80s. This family had taken their RV early in the spring to this camping area in Land Between the Lakes, and they camped there, and the father and the son were outside setting up the jacks, getting the generator going. And the mother and daughter, 5-year-old daughter, were inside. The father apparently was the first to get killed. Something came up out of the hollow and came up behind him and literally ripped him apart. The boy ran towards the RV, tried to get inside, but the I think it was Dog Man, from what I've heard, got after him and killed him. It ripped the door off and got inside the RV. Now, from what I heard, the mother put up a doggone good fight, but she was killed. And it found a little girl. And apparently they found her partially eaten up in a tree. And I stood next to that tree, got a picture of it.
Yeah, I heard Jody Cook tell that story on the Paranormal Road.
Okay.
And they've gone down there a couple times to do some filming, and the park will not allow them to film in the park. Like like the rangers on the record will not confirm anything goes on. But off the record, he has talked to at least 3, because where's it at? Kentucky, right?
Yes.
3 Kentucky state policemen who were at the scene. And there's apparently no official record of this happening.
No.
But these guys off the record have all confirmed that it happened. The one guy was one of the first guys on the scene. Mm-hmm. And now there was a conflicting report that he kind of put that one of the kids, they think there was 2 kids, but one of the kids was never found, supposedly. So that's just a variation of the story, because it's all, supposedly firsthand from people that were on the scene, but there's no written account, there's no police report or anything like that.
No.
So you're there at that scene.
Hopefully not looking for Dogman.
Right.
No.
She's a Sasquatch girl.
Yes, I have no interest in Dogman.
But the legend, so what they said was that area was, they got everybody out of there in the 60s when Kennedy was president.
Right.
Okay. Took over all the land, made it a national park. The folklore to it, or whatever, is that there is for lack of a better term, a werewolf den, werewolf family, or whatever you want to call it, that lives and feeds in that area. And that's why they got rid of all the people living there. And
so let me ask, so Mary, you were there investigating Sasquatch, though.
Yeah, I was there on a camp out with a bunch of other Bigfoot researchers. And we did go around, and we found footprints from Bigfoot, so they are still there. In fact, we had activity at our camp.
What kind of activity?
We saw eye shine, her vocals, and I wasn't there on the last day as everyone was packing up, but something tore into Kumbo's RV.
What do you mean tore into the RV?
Well, he had an external generator down over the hill, and it made a lot of noise whenever it was running, and apparently that stirred up some issues, some anger, because it was pretty loud. And on the last day, as Kumbo was packing up, he had put the cord back into the compartment on the external side of the RV and closed the door. And apparently whenever he was up hooking it up to his truck, it snuck up, and just he said he could see the claw marks where it ripped into where the power cord was stored.
Wow.
Now,
it sounds like to me
that
Dogman's been framed.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it sounds like there's Bigfoot in the area, and they said, hey, listen, let's frame this Dogman. Let's rip this family apart, and we'll blame it on them. Because I know I'm in jest, but it's interesting because, and I found this topic very interesting, and we've talked to some people about this. How do Dogmen and Sasquatch coexist in the same geographical area? They're both apex predators. They're both going to be competing for the same food sources.
Yeah.
So and both are, from what everybody's accounts are, they're both extremely territorial.
Yes.
So how do these two things coexist?
I think that they, from what I heard, at least down there, I was talking with a local. He said that when the dog moved, whenever the dog men move in, the Bigfoot move out.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's very
Well, it does.
interesting, yeah.
It does seem to me like every story that's been tied to, Dogman seems a little more aggressive
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
than Bigfoot. So
Although there's a lady that tells a story about a peeping Tom Bigfoot who has the
goes
same name
running
as
out.
Fabian.
who goes running out?
Who goes running out. So you were there and found prints and indicia and things like that. So do you ever? I mean, look, there's a lot of armchair Sasquatch investigators, people who love to watch the shows, who are never going to get off the couch or chair and go into the forest and look. What can you tell those people about what it's like to be in the forest at night and these things are moving around and throwing things and telling you, hey, you're in the wrong area of this forest? What's it like?
It's frightening, for one thing, because I don't particularly care to go through the forest at nighttime. Whenever we do go out at nighttime, I know there's a lot of researchers, they'll hike out in the woods at nighttime, and I don't do that. I take things the easy way. I go in my truck, along with some friends, and we'll park in a good area that we know that there's activity, and we sit in our folding chairs next to the trucks and just
Are you
have
making
a
s'mores
gab.
at the same time?
Unfortunately, no.
Are you serving drinks?
No.
Well, that just cut me and Grover right out.
Yeah, I like s'mores and you like drinks. Yes. Now,
But
did you? So
they come into us. They come to us. We don't have to search for them. They come to us.
So how did you get so now you weren't out actively searching for Bigfoot when the one started, the bully started hanging around your house, right?
Right.
So was it because of that activity that you decided you wanted to find out a little bit more?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just started searching around for people in the area who may have had activity, and it kind of branched out, to other people in other states until I found someone who actually knew what they were talking about, who spoke common sense, and because there were things that I knew by the one's activity. You can tell whenever someone is talking nonsense, imagination, what they wish Bigfoot was, as to other people who have actually dealt with them. And I found a group of guys who actually know what they're doing, and I hooked up with them and just starting, going out in the woods, learning from them. And it just made me more curious. I just want to learn more because they are fascinating.
Well, from a daytime sitting in a lawn chair by a truck that you can escape in, why, yes.
Well, no, that's usually at night.
But from a let's go out at night in the forest standpoint, no.
No, we do that at nighttime too. We'll sit by the trucks, and like I said, they come into us.
So you got with these group of guys, and then you start going out and doing investigations. Now, have you had another encounter with one that you've seen one like you did when you were 11? Because I'm guessing when the one that came around the house, you never really got a good look at that one.
Not a real good look. He peeked up over the wall behind the house, so I only saw his head, and he was backlit by the sun, so I really didn't get a good look at his face. But no, I've seen 5 total, counting the one, at the house.
You've seen 5 separate different Bigfoot.
Yes.
That's impressive because, I think probably there's people that have been in the woods for years looking have never seen one.
Yeah.
So do you think that you're just lucky, or do you think that you just have the right technique by being passive and letting these things come to you versus trying to be
go out and hunt them down?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess it always seemed to me like you watch these shows, and I'm not naming shows in particular, but you take a group of people.
Bigfoot.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You take a group of people, and you start tromping through the woods, and I don't care how quietly you think you're walking through the woods. Everything out there knows you're coming.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that the likelihood that you're going to experience, unless you would come into their territory and they'd be ticked and they start throwing stuff at you. But when you look at like some of the stories like Terror in the Woods and the different stories that I've seen and weigh people's credibility of how they tell the story, it's usually people that are minding their own business.
It's accidental.
It's accidental. They're not looking for Bigfoot. They're just kind of waiting, doing their thing, whether they're camping or whatever. And the Bigfoot became intrigued by them and sought them out. So do you think maybe the reason why you've been so successful is that you've taken a less aggressive approach to investigating in the field, or what do you think?
It's more a matter of luck and knowing what I'm seeing, recognizing their movements, knowing what I'm seeing, their shape and everything. Because let me see, the next time I was riding in the car with my husband, we were just riding along the road, and I was looking out, the window, and there's a Bigfoot crossing a dirt lane. And he was the biggest one I've ever seen. Yeah, he was at least 11 foot, and just monstrously huge.
Dear
but
Lord.
They're all, it's all accidents so far that I've seen.
Yeah, that's what it certainly sounds like. A lot of people's sightings are just by accident.
And you think about it. You look at the show Finding Bigfoot. Okay, there ain't no finding to it. It's just let's walk around the woods and we never find it. And I think that goes back to there's a lot of luck to it. And if you're out there stomping around with a camera crew and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, I think the likelihood that you're going to have an encounter is incredibly small.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's my take on that. I feel the same way you do, Judge. I think that if you're out there with a camera crew, and even if you just got a couple people out there investigating, for number one, we're dealing with an animal that has a superior smell, superior hearing, and everything. Yep. They're going to know that you're out there, even if it is a frequent area where they've had sightings. They're going to know that you're there, and I doubt if they're going to come out and say anything.
Well, there's people who tell stories about. There's people who tell stories, Jason, about they're out west and they're hiking, and the next morning they'll wake up and they'll see bobcat prints all around the camp. Where and then they'll notice that a bobcat has been following them for days. They never see it.
Yep.
They never hear it, but the prints are there.
Yeah.
So, like you're saying, you get something it's a predator. It lives there, and an apex predator. You're not going to see it if it doesn't want you to.
That's
and it can stalk you and follow you and be close to you, and you don't even know. They say the same thing about wolves. Wolves could be following you for miles. You have no idea. And I don't know about bears, but
yeah, it's with Bigfoot also. They are so amazingly good at hiding. There can be a little dip in the ground, in some weeds, and they'll hide in that little dip so well. They'll blend in, like ninjas. They keep perfectly still, and they are amazingly fast. The next one that I saw was in Oklahoma, and I was out there with my sister, with another group of researchers. We went out there for a week, and every single night we would go out and in some pretty infamous areas, and we would see eye shine, we would hear vocals, but really didn't see anything. But then, the one night we were returning from an area called Purgatory, and one of the guys was having trouble with his truck. So we pulled into a parking lot of a casino, and everybody else had their heads under the hood helping this guy with his truck. And 4 of us were sitting in the one pickup truck. My sister and I were in the back seat, and 2 guys in the front. And my sister was playing on her phone, and the driver, he was sitting there playing on his phone. Now, neither one of them had ever seen a Bigfoot, and Chuck and I, the other guy, we would always kid them, saying, you're never going to see a Bigfoot if you're always playing on your phone. And, I kept telling them, you have to always be aware, always, no matter where you are, no matter how unlikely you think it'll be that you'll see a Bigfoot, always be aware of your surroundings. And so Chuck and I, he was over in the passenger seat. We were both just sitting there, watching out the window whenever movement caught both of our attention. There was something ran out between the buildings, ran across the parking lot, brightly lit parking lot, and across the highway into the woods on the other side. And it was a Bigfoot. And he was pretty tall, maybe about 8 foot. And because his head was a little above the pickup trucks. And he was just so amazingly fast. It only took him about 3 seconds to cross that parking lot into the woods. And later on, I looked on a map and I measured the distance, and I took the time and the distance, so I was able to figure out how fast he was running. And it was approximately 52 miles an hour.
What?
That is incredible.
Well, bears can run 32 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can't outrun a bear. That's
Not
for
outrun
sure.
a bear. A horse can't outrun a bear. Isn't it? A grizzly bear can outrun a horse.
Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing?
Yeah. So 52 miles an hour. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Do you think when people go out into the woods, and we're talking about Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, let's just talk about that area.
Right.
Do you think people are walking by Bigfoot or Sasquatch and they don't even know they're there? That the
Oh, yeah.
population of these things is such that you could be out hiking and be within 25, 50 feet of one of those. You walk right by it. You have no idea.
Easily. Oh, yeah.
Now we go back to David Pilati's missing 411.
I definitely
Yeah.
believe that just like you can walk by deer in the middle of the day, you're out in the woods on a hike, they're bedded
Yeah.
down. Unless you stumble on them,
Yeah.
they'll let you walk right by them. They're looking
Absolutely.
at you. Yeah.
So let
Yeah,
me
they
ask you
blend
this
right
then.
in.
Since you've been all over and food source wise, do you think, and this is going to be the question that I think about all the time, do you think
Do not ask the question that you think about all the time.
that's for
Oh, this is for Bigfoot.
different
This is about
story,
Bigfoot.
isn't it?
Okay, my
But
bad.
so
My bad.
the question is, do you think Sasquatch eats people? Do you think they eat people?
Yeah, yes, I have. I think so. Yes.
Then that's all the more reason why you're sitting in the lawn chair waiting for Bigfoot to come to you and not going out at night. But because I agree, I think that, look, something that's that big eats meat, that stuff. So I heard this one time.
Maybe they're more opportunist.
Yeah, but
They
so like,
they are, and people make easy prey.
I heard this. So with bears, if a bear kills a human being, it discovers really quickly how easy it is to get to our organs, because normally if a bear kills a deer or an elk, there's all these layers of hide it has to get through, because bears like to eat organs.
Yes.
That once a bear discovers how easy it is to get to our organs, that's the only thing it wants to hunt. So you think about it, if Bigfoot is used to eating tough skinned, ripping through hide, things like that, and it gets a hold of a human being, how much easier it is to tear us open to consume our organs and stuff like that, that they would then be like a bear, and that's what they'd want to hunt.
Right. Well, in some native tribes, their names are cannibals.
So that's how they refer to them, as the
Yeah,
native.
Right. Yeah, certain tribes.
So, so how did this? How long have you had the Facebook group then?
I think I started that in 2015,
2015.
and
Okay.
I just broke 5,000 members. So it's grown very, very slowly, but that's quite all right. I'm proud of it. We've got a great team of administrators, and a great group of members. They are fantastic. They keep the peace among themselves, which is good.
I'm proud to be a member of that group myself.
Thank you.
And I certainly appreciate the fact that you allow us to put our episodes up there for your members to check out too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Always. I enjoy good podcasts, and it saves me the trouble of having to hunt them down and share them.
Now, so how often do you get out to go squatching or Bigfooting or whatever you refer to it as?
Bigfooting. In the wintertime, I don't go because quite frankly, I'm 65 years old. I'm not into discomfort and falling and.
What a coincidence! Neither am I.
So I anxiously await for spring, and then I get out as much as I can.
Now, you have to mention the name of your group that you told me about the other day on the phone, because I don't want to be the one to bring it up.
Oh, okay. Yes, I also run the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project is the discussion group on Facebook. And I run an all-female research team, and that team name is Monkey Wench, WENC.
I love it.
That is a great name.
I love it. So,
How do you come up with that name?
monkey. That's fantastic. I mean,
And no, in no way, shape, or form do I think that they're monkeys. It's just we're all primates, and that's what I think that they are, primates, just another primate, bigger. So I kind of got on that.
so can I, for the record, offer my services to write the pitch up for the Travel Channel for the new all-female Bigfoot team called the Monkey Wenches?
Absolutely, but I doubt that it will get on there.
Deep in the trenches, the Monkey Wenches. How about that?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So, what kind of following does the Monkey Winches have?
Not real big, and I try to keep us low key. This is honestly the first time I've been on a podcast talking about the monkey one.
Really?
Yeah,
So this kind of like your secret dark side that, by day you're a mild mannered Bigfoot researcher, but at night
She's a wench.
she's the monkey.
I'm a monkey wench.
Cue the music, Jason. Cue the music.
That's right.
Yeah. It's got to be parrot theme.
So what can people who want to join your Facebook group, like what can they expect to go, what can they expect to see there?
Well, a lot of information because I share a lot and I help people. That's what I try to do. Anyone who has questions, if they want to get on there learning about Bigfoot, I'll try to help them as much as I can. If I know an area that's a good possibility for them to get out and see what they can do to find their own Bigfoot, I'll give them a general area as long as I know that it's a safe area, but I'll also caution them, because I always tell people you never know what to expect with them because they are individuals, just as humans are individual. You don't know, if they've had a good day or a bad day, or if their wife has hollered at them for not bringing home the bacon that day. So,
or the deer,
you never
or the
know what to
deer, or
expect.
the whatever.
Yes.
Backstrap.
That's true. Now, how many times has somebody got a hold of you on there that you went out and like did an investigation because they were having difficulties with the creature?
A few times, mostly right here in this particular area. Anything further than like about 50 miles out, I'll farm out to other researchers that I trust. But yeah, in this particular area, maybe, let me think, I don't know. I lost count of how many times, but 3 or 4 times in the past 2 years. In fact, one of my neighbors contacted me with a photo of a tree stand that he has in his field, and he found a deer skeleton hanging on it.
Whoa.
I'm sure it just jumped up there.
So do you ever invite your fans to go along with you for these hunts?
Every year I offer a annual camp out where everyone in the group is welcome to join us, and we'll go to an active area. We've held it up in the Allegheny National Forest. Let me see, this last year was in Forbes National Forest in the Chestnut Ridge area. Can't remember where else. Primarily, it's been up in Allegheny National Forest.
Have you been to Salt Fork State Park yet?
Yes,
Okay.
I love it down there.
Well, the next time you come to Ohio, let us know, and maybe we will assemble the team and meet you down there.
I'll bring my lawn chair.
Please, yes.
Because I got to tell you, like we went out with Amy Boo,
Oh yeah,
and it's fantastic. I mean, she's amazing, great.
she is.
Great.
I love Amy.
I think to go out with you and Amy Boo would probably be the greatest Bigfoot team to go out with. I mean, you guys are so laid back and so like chill about everything. I think it'd be fantastic. Even if you didn't see anything, it'd be a fun time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she and I have gone out researching and Bigfooting together a few times. We're good friends.
Oh,
I love
all right.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, for all of our listeners out there, go check out her Facebook page.
The Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project.
Check out the monkey winches, if you so dare.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to see.
Yes, I'm looking forward to the T-shirt line. I mean, if you had Monkey Winches T-shirts and
Coffee mugs,
coffee mugs, and the little
maybe a trucker hat.
There you go.
Oh, that would be perfect.
Keychain. Keychain.
I just I've got them for the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project already, but I'll have to make up a line for Monkey Winch.
I'm telling
But then you got to be female to wear the T-shirts.
Oh, we have
Yes.
some models that
can help
that
you
are on standby,
Okay.
just waiting.
Does Jerry know that he's going to model the Monkey Winch T-shirt?
Jerry might not know. We'll get Elisa and Jerry to do it.
There you go.
Well, Mary, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your stories. Those were some great stories.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And
You're
I
welcome.
strongly encourage everybody go check out the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project.
Get to the
page.
Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Well, go check out
Preferably not during bear season.
the Facebook page, become a member, and because there are some really great like eyewitness stories on there. There's a lot of good information.
Yes.
So, and stop by and say hi to Mary. I'm sure you'd enjoy the company.
Absolutely, yes.
So, Mary, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on.
It has.
And
Thank you.
we're looking forward to,
Salt Fork State Park.
Yes.
going squatching with you. Bigfoot.
Absolutely.
We're on Bigfoot.
So, all right, Mary, we'll talk to you later.
Sign off. Thank
All
you.
right.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.